Bet you've never seen anything like this.
We turned our indoor swimming pool into our great room.
Or a cooler way to get privacy.
Ta-da.
Get ready for all kinds of color.
I love it. I just love it.
And heavenly spaces. Generation Renovation is coming your way. Hi everybody, I'm Guard Swanson, and this is Congress Avenue in Austin, Texas. Prime real estate for sure, but turning this century-old storefront into a home took a lot of guts. We'll tell you why in just a bit. But first, let's head to the California coast for a renovation that has to be the most colorful I've ever seen. Well, I know you like blue. Can we play Hide the Homeowner?
Yeah, really?
Let's go right there. We're playing Hide the Homeowner, everybody. Sue and Brian Mondeal make no apologies for the standout color of their home. Truth is, the 1906 farmhouse in Alameda, California never stood a chance of blending in. On this street, you see all these different homes and then Mediterraneans, and all of a sudden, boom, it's the farmhouse.
We were here first. There was not a single other buyer for miles and miles to come. No one else wanted this house but us.
The windows were all broken. The porch wasn't here. There was garbage in the yard. Was there a yard?
There was a weed patch.
There was a weed patch, and it was frightening.
But Sue had a plan. Make the main floor wide open, the top floor less scary, and top it all off with 27 shades of color.
We needed to make this house happy, and we needed to do it on a budget. And what's the best way to do that? It's just paint.
One person came and said, it's kind of like preschool in here in a good way.
So when you guys got into this place, what did it look like?
What did it look like? You walked in, and the floor was this broken pink tile.
Sue and Brian tore out the floors and brought in slate. Then they gave the ceiling a facelift. Right off the bat, I see purple. One of 27 colors?
Not purple. It's periwinkle.
And this is your color, right?
This is my favorite color.
But fixing the kitchen would require more than a little color. So Brian, here in the kitchen, you did a little work.
Yeah, a lot of work. This was probably the worst place in the house. My first strong memory was the big cabinets where I could just take my finger and push them in.
They're that rotted?
They're that rotted.
Sue and Brian demoed the joint, then saved big by using paint-grade cabinets and vinyl tile floors that had Sue seeing red.
And I love my checkerboard floor, but it showed everything. So every day I was wiping. I'm like, okay, there's got to be a better way. So I thought, I'll get a runner.
So you have to tell me about this carpet. It's got a kind of a crazy design in here.
I put down butcher paper, and I made a design, and I was like, well, as long as I'm doing it myself, I'm going to make it fun.
So is this thing glued down at all?
No, actually, it's sized to fit so perfectly that it really can't shift. It's just sitting here.
Job done.
Job done, except for cleaning it.
You like it?
Right there.
Next door in the living room, Sue and Brian finally got a chance to save some of the past. The original floors, the box beam ceiling, and this. So Brian, this was a pretty cool find here, this fireplace.
Yeah, I was actually a little worried because we were tearing down this huge monstrous thing, and I didn't really have a plan for what we were going to put there.
And underneath, we found this, which was original. It had this nice little curve.
Were you a little surprised at how beautiful it turned out?
This was probably the best find in the entire remodel of the house.
The same could not be said for the old staircase. Here are the scary stairs, huh?
It wasn't just wear and tear of normal life. I mean, things had been beat on. There were gouges, and it was crazy. I mean, it was pretty beat up, but we just spackled it and filled in the holes and, again, slapped some paint on and kept it.
Sue wrapped the stairwell in beadboard and created a colorful trip to the second floor, where the master bedroom was crying out for help.
Most of the windows were broken, and whether they were broken or not, they all were just kind of covered with towels to keep, light from ever coming in.
Sue and Brian replaced the windows and gave the farmhouse floor some more of that Mondeal magic. So did you just paint right on top of the subfloor? Is that what you did?
We sanded it down to get a good base, but that was it. It certainly wasn't finished in any way. Yeah, just painted straight on, put a layer of sealant to give it a little more durability. But we wanted kind of a French country, worn but deliberately so look.
It looks great.
And completely different from what's down the hall. In a bathroom, that pre-renovation was downright dangerous.
When we got here for the open house, there was a towel draped. And I was like, We kind of picked it up and we're like, oh my goodness, you can see through the floor.
Hey, Brian, come upstairs.
Hello.
The new floor gave Sue an excuse to get creative with those tiles.
And my stepmom had the idea of using black grout instead of white, which I loved.
Yeah.
And it turned out, it's just so much fun.
And the fun just keeps on coming.
Okay.
All right, where do you want me to go?
Okay, you see where the paint's like peeling off? Yeah.
So you want it right in there?
Right in there.
It's kind of our baby, and there's a certain pride in showing it off that we haven't had any other time.
I love it. I just love it.
Up next, splashy skylights.
Everybody comes in and goes,
And a rooftop that rocks. It's one of the hottest homes in downtown Austin. An amazing transformation that took 4 long years. But hey, what do you expect when you're working with a place that went from bakery to beauty shop to clothing store and finally restaurant?
it just seemed like a neat project. I had no idea what I was in for. And it was, in a word, hideous.
Dennis Karbach took on the challenge of a lifetime. A century-old building in the capital city of Austin, built right after the Civil War.
Nothing was square, nothing was plumb. Not a ton of back guano, asbestos abatement. It took a lot of imagination.
And patience, too. To transform this needy space into a sleek bachelor pad. With a home theater on the first floor, a state-of-the-art kitchen on the second, and cool master bedroom on the third, all connected by granite stairs.
Is that a job for today?
Dennis brought Joe Pinelli on board, a contractor who understands the hassles of renovating in the city.
We would put our construction cones out here and we'd say, hurry, because you're shutting down Congress Avenue. Hurry. We had one employee that she just came out and fed the meter every 2 hours for, 2 years.
The work started on the outside, taking the place back in time.
Sometime in the late 50s or around 1960, they put a clay tile facade in front of the old Victorian facade. Until we pulled that down, we really didn't know what the facade looked like. It turned out the old limestone facade is in pretty good shape.
But it definitely needed a new entrance.
Your front yard is Congress Avenue, and sometimes it's a little close. So eureka, we solved it with a swinging door, which goes like this. You get the light through it, but you have privacy when you want it, and you have the street when you want it. Ta-da!
Dennis restored the limestone walls, which had been covered with paneling. But that left this, the city sprinkler valve, ruining the view.
So I realized we had to move it, understanding that it's charged up with 100 pounds of water, city water pressure, and the pipes are probably 50, 60, 70 years old, and it blew apart.
Oh, no.
No! And water came gushing in, and there was about 3 feet of water in here.
Luckily, the place was little more than a cave at that point.
Today we have the new valve system. We figured out, let's make it a feature in the room, put some glass around it so you don't have to look at it unless you want to.
Instead, you can check out what Dennis calls his entertaining floor, which explains why his theater needed not one, but 2 bathrooms and a designer.
They're a little frivolous.
Whimsical.
Whimsical. I mean, one is rich with mahogany, and then over here, on the other hand, we've got the marble elementary school bathroom.
Totally uncomfortable, makes you
I think most people use the warm bathroom.
Upstairs, Dennis wanted a grown-up kitchen.
no fussiness. This is a bachelor's pad. The walnut, the black honed granite, the stainless steel appliances.
Up here, the limestone walls were hiding under plaster. But it's the living room ceiling
We kept finding things.
that hid the strangest discovery of all.
When they pulled the beaded ceiling down, down came a ton of backwater. They had to evacuate the building, send everybody home because the ammonia smell is so strong that people were overcome by it. It took them a couple of days to get it out of here.
The visiting bats, by the way, have since moved to a bridge down the street. And back at Dennis's place, they saved the toughest job for last. No, not the rooftop lawn. This. A little something for Dennis and his daughter Lauren. A 100,000-pound pool floating 70 feet above the city.
We had a big crane that came up on Congress Avenue. It came up over, had to be swung over here.
It took 4 hours with 3 lanes of traffic closed to get the pool in place. The hardest part? Lining up the skylights below. Now that's cool.
The lowness and just the expanse that you have here makes it feel like the whole city is part of your backyard. I love this space. It's wonderful. Everybody comes in and goes, or says, wow. So to me, it's just home, but I do love it.
Still to come, hundreds of pieces of wood, gallons of stain,
It's kind of like that bad dream that never ends.
only this dream does end at the beach.
It's just a fate to which I've resigned myself to forever stain wood.
Laura and Troy Weeks are no strangers to staining.
If I had to guess, it would be somewhere between 300 and 400 pieces.
It's kind of like that bad dream that never ends. Keep trying to wake yourself up, but you just can't seem to come out of it.
At least Laura and Troy can wake up every day to this. Their 1921 cottage is bound by the trees and just blocks from the Chesapeake Bay in Virginia Beach, Virginia.
It's like a little vacation home that you live in year-round.
But renovation would be no vacation. That old yellow vinyl was falling off. Nothing was up to code. In fact, Troy wasn't sure the house could be saved.
A few years later, he told me his first inclination was tear down.
Yeah, it really was. But we moved in, and then the house took us over.
6 years later, Laura and Troy have a bright new kitchen, a warmed-up sunroom, and a master suite that takes up the entire second floor.
It was kind of like one of those survival things where it's like people say, wow, I made it to boot camp.
Basic training would start in what was then a dungeon-like living room.
Well, the first thing we did is replace the windows to bring in some light.
The old pass-through got an expansion too. Then, Laura and Troy gave the entire room a good whitewash.
It was a wow moment. The fireplace was the really most dramatic change, and when we changed it from a dark red brick to the color that it is now, it just made the room open up.
This is the sunroom.
Here, Laura designed a getaway for her guy. Small windows became a wall of windows, with a green ceiling to set off the view.
Oh, it was a lot of fun. It was months of fun. I've never had a workout in the gym that made my delts feel that sore.
153 pieces of wood, each stained and installed by hers truly.
This is my friend, the Wonder Bar. He's convinced that I'm a wonder with the Wonder Bar, and I could really do some wondrous stuff with it.
But if you're wondering why she did it,
Just reinforces in his mind how valuable I am to him.
over in the kitchen,
It was ugly.
The countertops were laminate, and they were really yellow.
the couple brought in quartz counters, added corner cabinets, then dropped the drop ceiling and put fiberboard around the joists.
Actually, just as low as it was before, it just opened it up and raised it visually.
A dramatic change above. As for below, just plain drama. It was mid-renovation when Pandora the cat got curious and found her way under the house through a torn-up wall.
I was crawling literally on my belly and my arms to get around.
What we decided to do was corral her.
I wasn't going out of there without the cat.
We finally got her, and Troy and Pandora were both covered in dirt.
Upstairs, it was the floors that needed rescuing in a master bedroom they call the treehouse.
When we moved in, I quickly judged it as not livable. The floor, the carpet was stained, it was very dirty.
We peeked under the carpet. We really didn't expect to find anything. We were just planning on removing it and trying to figure out how easily it would come up. And we pulled it back and saw this beautiful yellow pine, and Troy just loved it.
Another big payoff came when the walls were going back up, and Troy suddenly remembered some stained glass windows.
They were actually out in the garage, and I said, they're going to fit. And sure enough, they did.
It adds some color into what's otherwise a pretty neutral room. And they're kind of like built-in pieces of artwork.
That was pure stroke of luck. It's a happy place, and it's a calm place.
We were proud of the work we were able to do with our own two hands.
And hopefully it'll make it another 80 years.
Just ahead, a wild pool house transformation. Now you see it,
I never swam in that pool.
now you don't. Time now for a great room renovation with all the goods. But before it could come together, you won't believe what had to disappear.
We bought the house primarily because it had the space, and we weren't really interested in the pool.
Howard and Karen Cohen dove into a pool house renovation in Scarsdale, New York. More than 80 years old and totally Tudor, there's only one thing missing.
We turned our indoor swimming pool into our great room.
Yep, they 86'd the pool
This was the low end.
This was the deep end.
and created some serious living space.
Well, the pool was very old, and it was leaky, and it smelled bad. It was very dark. The ceiling was dark, the floors were dark, all the surfaces were dark.
It was musty, it was dirty.
It was just an unappealing space.
I never swam in that pool. It was awful.
It took them 6 months to make over the medieval-inspired chandeliers, turn the blue Brazilian cherry, and create a double-sided fireplace, separating where you relax from where you cook and eat. But it all started with a decision to frame over the pool and put the empty space to work.
This is the hole that we cut through the pool to bring the air conditioning ducts and the water lines and the gas line for the kitchen. We had to have a huge concrete saw come in to cut through this 12-inch concrete wall. Took an entire day. It was an expensive hole.
For Howard's next challenge, he went poolside to get rid of those walls.
This is actually a piece of the wall tile. You could see how thick it was.
Howard told me this was going to be a piece of cake.
It was very difficult to remove these tiles. You have to break through the face of them and then try and get a crowbar in to try and pry it loose, and it would just crumble. So we worked on one little area over here for about a day, and then we said, we're not doing this. We're going to build new walls.
In the kitchen, Howard scored secondhand top-of-the-line appliances, pieced the cabinets together himself, and then built Karen a dream centerpiece.
This is a tremendous island. It's about 14 feet by 4 feet wide and has a curve to it. All the cabinets are standard cabinets, nothing is custom. So this all had to be worked out in advance in order to get the curve of this island. It worked out pretty nice.
Oh, Howard. You did such a good job. It's beautiful. You could see, if you just look around, that it's very pleasing to the eye.
This room is really a dream.
I completely can't believe it. When I think about that pool, it seems like it was a different place.
You know, I wasn't supposed to work on this show. Do you know that? It wasn't supposed to be like this. I was supposed to come in, have a little bit of fun, and now look at this. I got to paint.